In today's video, an up-to-date discussion on how the competition season is going to unfold. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, basically, just going to go over what we need to know as competitors, what's currently going on in the competition world as far as competition dates, what we can expect, some rule changes that have happened, some qualification changes that have happened for national shows, the Olympia, things like that. And so let's just get into it, because the first national show of the year is supposed to be in May, and it's already April. And obviously, you know, life is not normal. So they've already started restructuring that schedule. So the Junior USAs, which is in a wonderful location, okay? So if you guys haven't been to South Carolina to Junior USAs, it is just an amazing city to go to see an event, to be there. So if you're like a fitness tourist and you're interested in a show, lovely place. I was actually looking forward to driving. It's about a 6-hour drive from where I live in Tampa, but they've moved it. So let me conduct my notes, make sure I have the date right here. Yeah, August 27th, 29th, and I'm going to tell you why I think that's important that they put it there. But that's not it. Junior Nationals, which is only a few weeks later in Chicago, has also been rescheduled. Now, they haven't announced the date, but they said somewhere in the September-October timeframe. As of now, the next national show would be in Teaneck, New Jersey, okay, and that is NPC Universe. They have not moved that, but it does say on the website that it is subject to change based on the venue and government guidelines and state guidelines. So that could even possibly get moved back to, say, later in the year. We don't know yet, okay? The next national show after Universe would be in Las Vegas, USA's. Now this is in July. So there's still potential for that show to happen in July, but the next national show after that is still locked in as well, and that is going to be in September. Now in September, the first day of September, we have basically North Americans at September 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Anyone that hasn't done North Americans, it's a really cool show because the way they set it up is all the competitors go on one day. So if you compete on Wednesday, you're done on Wednesday. If you compete on Thursday, you're done on Thursday. So it's a really great show from that perspective. The venue is the hotel you stay in. So in that area in downtown Pittsburgh is very, very cool, very fun. Like, again, if you're a tourist and you want to go to a show. So what's happening here is all the national shows are starting to get bunched up later in the year. Okay, they haven't really announced the dates for Junior Nationals, but with that, right after North Americans, well, then you've got the Amateur Olympia, okay? And for those that aren't aware, the Amateur Olympia is a pro qualifier as well. They give out 3 pro cards. You have to be in the overall. And last year they awarded a pro card to the top 3 in the overall, right? So that is technically a national show because Junior USA's gives out 4 pro cards. So it's almost on the same level as that. Well, that's September. And then right after that, you know, usually we kind of push all the way back to NPC Nationals, which is right before Thanksgiving in November. But with the way things are unfolding, you're going to have August 27th through 29th, Junior USA's, and then a few days later, September 2nd, you'll be on stage again. So you could potentially do 2 national shows in a week. Okay, so there's going to be some very interesting things at play here. They've also changed the guidelines, which I'm going to get into. But first, I want to talk a little bit about some of the other shows that are kind of a big deal to me. So the NPC World Border Clash Pro Bikini, which was supposed to be last week, they basically, Joe Piscula decided that he's going to just cancel the event. Okay, so there is no more Border Clash this year. However, he's taking the pro show off. So the NPC version, the NPC portion of the Border Clash is gone, okay? It was in Aiken, South Carolina last year. Again, one of my favorite shows. I had so much fun last year traveling to all these shows. This year, they basically said, okay, we're not able to have the show. So what we're doing is we're going to pull out the pro show, and they're moving that to August. And they're moving that to August 22nd, the Mel Chancey Harbor Classic. So why is that significant? Well, last year, to qualify for the Olympia, you had to be qualified. The final show to get points at was Tim Gardner's Tampa Pro right here in my backyard. And I believe they had the most pro athletes in history at an IFBB Pro show. Well, they've extended that deadline. The deadline is now August 29th. So that means that the World Clash here in Florida on August 22nd, That's right, will qualify you for the Olympia in September, as well as some very interesting shows. Now, usually Tampa is a very important show because it's the last opportunity for girls that are close on points to get some points, or if you get a win, you're into the Olympia. Well, this year, the final day of the year for pro shows, there are two shows. One, the Optimum Classic in Shreveport, Louisiana, and on the same day, the Puerto Rico Pro in Puerto Rico. Those are the last two chances to qualify for the Olympia as it stands. However, we may see some shows, some pro shows do what the Border Clash did. They may pick up the pro show, cancel the amateur, and just move the pro portion to another one of their shows. There's a lot of these large companies that have lots of shows that they promote. You know, things like Spectrum and Muscle Contest and Tim Gardner. So they have the opportunity to take their pro shows that are attached to an amateur show and move those around potentially. I think what we all want to see is the best possible outcome for the Olympia stage. You don't want to have a limited number of athletes because right now there's not that many people qualified for the Olympia, okay? And the other thing you have to consider is everyone that's not qualified for the Olympia, and even some of the girls that are already qualified, are going to be competing in these shows, okay? So it's going to be very hard for people that want to get on the Olympia stage to do so. You're going to have to win these stacked shows. However, there's going to be a lot of opportunity because I feel like there's going to be some days where there's 2, 3, or 4 pro bikini shows. Now, let's talk about turning pro because this is going to be a very interesting year to turn pro with all the national shows stacked up. They've also, as of now, announced a change to the rules on how to qualify for a national show. So, if in 2019 you competed in a national qualifier and placed top 5, you are qualified for all the national shows as an open competitor. What does that mean? Well, if you went to a show and got 3rd, last year you could not have done the national shows. This year you can. Still need to bring your A game. Because if you're going to be competing on the national level, well, you know, you're still going to be going up against girls that are ready to turn pro. So, you know, it's an opportunity to get up on a national stage when you might not have qualified, but maybe you've made some improvements and you're ready to kick some butt. Maybe you had a less than ideal prep. Hey, this might be a chance to jump on the stage. So I'm going to read the exact qualifications just so I get everybody exact. So you're qualified if you competed in a national qualifier in 2019 and placed top 5. Or if you competed at the Olympia Amateur in the United States, or at the Arnold in 2019 or 2020 in the United States. Another interesting rule change that happened last year that, you know, really didn't have a chance to set in because we haven't had a national show since they announced it is that previously you couldn't compete in a national qualifier unless you were a U.S. citizen. Even green card holders couldn't. Well, this year, green card holders can compete in national qualifying events and national qualifiers and pro qualifying events. And why that changes things? Well, just from my perspective, knowing my clients that are of that insane caliber, that are ready to turn pro, but didn't really have an opportunity to compete for a pro card because they lived in the United States, but were not considered eligible, there's going to be some considerable talent. Just think of all the people that have moved to the United States that have green cards that are now going to be able to get on the national stage. So I was really expecting this year to perhaps be the best year ever for the national competitions as far as quality. Now, there are some other organizations that have shows, organizations like the WNBF, the OCB, the NGA, the ANBF, some of the smaller natural organizations. They're a little bit more flexible. The NPC and the IFBB tend to put on such large productions where they tend to be in hotels or these big venues, you know, like Junior Nationals in Chicago at the Hyatt Regency. That hotel's not even open right now. So they're dealing with a whole different set of circumstances. I feel like the organizations with smaller shows and maybe even some of the smaller NPC shows where they're at like high school auditoriums, they might be a little bit more flexible. They might be able to get their shows up and running a little bit quicker. It just depends. And we're going to have to really wait and see. I think you can pretty much count that we're not going to be getting on stage in May. I think June, very questionable. Even if after May we find that, okay, things are starting to, you know, we're starting to get a little ability to move around and they've figured out a way for us to be safe and be mobile, you still got to have time to get people back in the gym. I know a lot of people have been displaced from their gyms, and as while I love to think that everyone's, you know, training at home, you know, I know some of my clients just don't feel it's as effective. And if you're not going to be bringing your best to the stage, Well, I know a lot of people are just going to wait and put things off to compete a little bit later in the year. So I think it's probably in the best interest of the athletes of the sport to have the majority of the shows in the latter half of the year. We'll have to see how things unfold. But, you know, I'm planning for late July, August, September for when the season's really going to get going. And it's going to have a ripple effect, no doubt. And this year is just going to be fluid. And so it's very important that we're, you know, doing everything in our power to stay positive and get ahead right now, because there's going to be some opportunities that present themselves this year that have never been presented before. I promise you, there's going to be, like I said, you can do 2 national shows in the same week. So just think about all the stuff that's going to be potentially happening this year and whether or not you want to be ready for that. So if you have any questions or comments below, let me know. If I said anything wrong, let me know. Always consult npcnewsonline.com, the show promoters. Don't take my word for it. Go reach out to the people that make the decisions. I've just been getting a lot of questions from my clients, and people are curious about the sport. There's information here and there. I just wanted to share this with you guys, but always trust, but verify. All right, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow.